I believe that I should have created a spreadsheet of the problems I had encountered and the solutions that I had been able to make by creatively solving around them. This is something that I would absolutely do for a further project. It's not something I had considered before, but going into Unity, realizing just how many small things can cascade into a larger problem down the line, especially like the level loader I talked about earlier, I believe as though I would be able to have worked on this in a much more refined manner had I taken the problems I encountered, though small, much more seriously. To move on, back onto the proper train of thought with target audience, I tried to reach my target audience in a more hands-on way with this brief, as I wanted to keep it very child-friendly and I wanted to keep the colours very vibrant. And I felt as though Warrior and Queen Maeve didn't fit that nearly as well as what I had hoped at first. So I did end up scrapping that idea, but I've just found this quite hard. I apologise. Yeah, I believe when it came to target audience, I tried to get as much feedback as possible from my classmates and a few people on Discord and such. And at the end of this project I have a survey as well. And I'm hoping to garner just a little more wisdom that I can put into my next project, because I feel I've hit the target audience age range very well, but I don't know if I would be able to say I have catered the best to what they actually need. As for professional practice, this is where I don't feel I'd even need notes. This is the thing I've been thinking about for probably a week. This is my main problem with this brief and this project, and it is I have not came in on Mondays, and that has caused a problem. And it was more so, it was a lack of professionalism, as I felt I wasn't learning anything at the time, and it was a waste of money and 5 hours of my time to come in. But I do understand it is a professional courtesy in the sense to come in. And so in my next project, I would try to be much more apt when it comes to this. And this ties in exactly with time management as well, because my project management for this it's just been quite hard with timing. I found a lot of task paralysis throughout this brief because I've had a large lack of motivation to do it. But in the end, if I feel there was one thing to help bump my grade up, it would probably just be better time management overall. As for if I feel I hit the brief, I do very aptly feel I've hit the brief in every regard it's asked for, but it does sadden me slightly to say that I haven't hit anything higher than that. I haven't been able to make a game I would be proud of. As for what I could have done better, I do feel I creatively problem solved well, but as I said earlier, and as it says on the board, I should have made that document to go over these problems and be able to ingrain them in myself better in case I did run into them again. This is just another slide of my professional practice. To move on to the continued version, this is where I was talking about my Miro boards, and this is when the project finally started to feel like it was turning around in a right direction. This was in the latter weeks where I started following my schedule much more critically. I set out hours a day for myself to do like specific tasks rather than weekly tasks that were much more vague. But due to my lack of experience in Unity in general and with code, I feel that's where the bad precedent has came from for this project, as I had set much too large a goal at much too short a time scale, and I wasn't able to scope properly for this project. And when it came to project management, this was my final Miro board right before this presentation, where I was still just about finished the game. I don't think you can see it from there, but it does say 29 out of 30 and then 13 out of 18 slides. And up until that point, I hadn't followed my Trello nearly as importantly as I should have, but in the end I found being able to split these up into the smaller tasks I want to complete to hit the brief just made it much easier to sit down and actually work on them. I just want to say thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions, I would be up for answering them, and I'd appreciate some feedback.